Boom, we are alive, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be taking a look at our top 5 favorite crypto and metaverse gaming tokens. We're going to talk about how important it is to understand their unlock investing schedule, how to do that, and then just understand that gaming is one of the biggest sectors on the planet. It dwarfs film, sports, and television. So know that games will always be something that people play. It's just how they play those games will change, and we believe the Web3 ownership future of that technology is going to be a large driver. So at the top of our list here, number 1, Treasure DAO, or the Magic Token. Magic Token is a decentralized building. They funded their company entirely from the sales of their NFT, and they've hired some really powerful players to help them continue to build in this market. So go to treasure.lol if you want to do a bit more deep diving into their website there and some of their team. But here you can see already they have over 21 games available. Many of them are free to play. Kaiju Cards, Beacon, Z-Verse, Mighty Action Heroes, Knights of Ether, Carrero Beasts, Tales of Illyria. And they've done a few $100 million in sales of these NFTs on their own platform as well. So Treasure has their own platform for selling these, so they don't have to go through OpenSea, again, accruing more of that revenue directly to the Treasure DAO ecosystem, allowing them to build more games. This is important to understand. If you've ever researched video games, you'd know that the people who built Angry Birds built like 39 games before getting Angry Birds right, and then Angry Birds made them billions of dollars. So you want to find somewhere that you can invest in one ecosystem that's building many games using that same ecosystem. They call themselves the decentralized Nintendo of the Web3 space. Now, going on to some of the technical aspects, what we'd like to do here is go to CoinGecko and look at how many tokens there are on the open market. So here you can see the circulating supply for Magic Token right now is 240 million tokens, with the total supply of 339 million hidden somewhere. So this is really important to understand, because if we know that there's 100 million tokens that will be unlocked or vested in the next little while, we know that at certain points, new tokens coming in the market are likely going to depress the price. It's important to note this because as time moves on, one of the important factors is understanding where all those tokens are. So if you have tokens that are not out on the open market and about to hit the open market, it could really disrupt the position that you're trying to take. So understanding the circulating supply here is super important. With a current market cap of only 161 million and 228 million for the fully diluted valuation, it's pretty easy to think that this is a decent play here. We invested in Magic early on in November of 2022, and we think today it's still a great play. One of the next things we like to do while going through this hunting process is take a look at the technical charts, and we'll go from there now. So here's Magic. We'll zoom out just so you can see the previous all-time high going back since its launch, all the way up at $6. Now, many of the Metaverse tokens, gaming tokens, had this happen, but we still believe that gaming is going to be one of the biggest sectors that helps on-ramp people into the crypto world without them necessarily needing to be native cryptopians, which is hyper important. So even from our early investments back here in November, we're still up 100 to 200%. But it's, again, important to remember that we already saw a primary accumulation range take place here. Its first breakout, its retest of the range, and we're witnessing what's probably a secondary reaccumulation channel out the back of the box here. These types of technicals while we're trading and making investments are super important, because even though the fundamentals some days might look bad, knowing where the technicals are allow you to make those intelligent trades regardless of what is going on in the broader world. Many people started to miss this bull market because they thought so many things were wrong with the economy, not looking at the technical charts to begin with. So our next favorite idea we're going to take a look at here is Memeland. Now, Memeland is a company founded by the people who started 9gag out of Hong Kong. If you've never heard of 9gag, it's a huge meme sharing company. These guys already know how to build strong communities and strong Web2 brands. They're really well positioned to do exactly this. So Memeland has a few different, let's call them products within the ecosystem that will eventually become part of a game, starting with the potatoes. The potatoes are effectively the lowest end version of their NFT collection. There's 10,000 of them. They basically form a team with the captains. I know this gets complex because gaming allows all these iterations of what things do when you have multiple versions of them. So for instance, if you have 3 potatoes and a captain, you can go out questing and you could have collected maps and collected valuables and treasures and then gotten dropped meme coin. So the captains are the main NFT of the ecosystem. Here they look here. When they're in this baby format, it means that someone doesn't own them or is trying to sell them. And if they're like this, you're actually able to change all the traits of your captain. So this is one of the unique things they've done, is where each captain is you're able to iterate what it looks like based off the holder. So the holder can go in, they can change the gender, they can change the hair color, what they're wearing effectively. And these types of iterations we just haven't seen before. It makes Memeland one of the more outside of the box thinking companies, and they've always kind of pushed the boundaries of what they're capable of doing. And I think it's important that we then go take a look at what came next, which is the meme token. So if you were holding captains or potatoes, you were airdropped a meme token the other day. We've owned captains and potatoes for almost a year and a half, and their token jumped up 2,600%. So the effective price of what you were basically given all of your money back times 3 if you happen to own one of the captains or tokens. Now, again, what comes into the importance here is understanding the circulating supply. And here's a great example of somewhere to be weary, and then also how to check when we should be weary about those unlocks. So there's only 7 billion tokens within the circulating supply at the moment, but 69 billion tokens that will come hit the market over the next 5 years. So you're thinking to yourself, well, what does that mean to you? Well, the market cap here for the 7 billion tokens is only 260 million, which isn't that bad for such an amazing brand already, but the fully diluted valuation of the max supply is up at 69 billion, for the 69 billion tokens is $2.5 billion. So there's clearly a disconnect between the circulating supply and the max supply. So one of the ways to look a little bit deeper into this is by going to token.unlocks.app and then looking at the emission cycle that's taking place and when those emission cycles unlock. So the next big emission cycle is coming up on the 3rd of May, or in 171 days, where they'll have approximately 6 billion plus tokens hit the market. So here, if we scroll down a little bit, we can see what that looks like in a visual representation. On the left-hand side here, we'll zoom in, and we can see that the initial airdrop, which was for people like myself who owned the NFTs, and then on May 3rd, boom, all of a sudden 850 million meme token hit the pockets of investors and advisors. And then as you continue to go on, boom, more tokens get unlocked for investors and advisors and contributors. And then boom, and then slowly it starts to linearly unlock for the next 5 years. So understanding the importance of this unlock schedule, the amount that's in the circulating supply, makes a huge difference, because when you're going out and you're looking for tokens and want to make kind of a moonshot investment, one of the best ways to think about this is a quote that one of our dear investor mentors, Monish Prabhai, said, "Heads I win, tails I only lose a little." And when you're dealing with asymmetry, you could have the potential for 1,000x up. Just like Bitcoin, having invested $1,000 when it was $90, you could have only lost $1,000. But the upside potential is enormous. When dealing with speculative gaming tokens, we want to take the same thesis into account. This is not something you should be investing the house on. Even small investments here, if you're right, over the next 5 years could pay off extraordinary. We saw that with Axie Infinity in 2020, where even $1,000 could have turned into $1 million. And that's an incredible amount of growth. So don't go trying to risk everything on these plays, because it's not worth it when there's so much potential in the exponential growth that the best thing to do is just move into a more comfortable, I can only lose this much position. So one of the last things we then go look at is the current trading range. this is another very important technical that we take a look at. Here we can see that for the last 10 days, this is not a lot of data because the token just launched, we were in an accumulation range, and now within the last 2 days, it's already gone up 60%. The market makers and the investors do this on purpose. They want to drive the price of an asset up so that retail gets sucked into buying the token at higher prices so that they can sell. They know how much is available, as we just went over in that token launch app, and they know when the rest is coming out. So before May 3rd, we're probably going to see some great market positions within meme token, but around May 3rd, I would expect this price to get dumped on heavily because all the investors get their first tokens. Understanding that stuff is extremely important, and it makes a big difference when we're making our investments. So one of the next ones we want to take a look at is Big Time. So Big Time is a another unique gaming system here. They've just launched their token as well. If you're interested in these things, I suggest you go more, learn about the game, the economy, and then do what we're doing next. I don't know which games are going to do the best. I'm not a gamer by any means, but one of the things I know, again, is that games have been around forever, and they're going to continue to exist longer than I will be alive. So understanding the future of gaming gives us that edge to look into what might be coming next. So because I don't know what games will do well or what the kids generally like, what I then go into is what I already know a little bit about, is understanding token dynamics and circulating supply. Here, another huge indicator is like, okay, the market cap is currently only $28 million, which is very low, so there's a lot of room for upside, but the fully diluted valuation at $935 million here, this is, again, in comparison to the circulating supply being at $152 million, but a 5 billion token max supply, which means there's 5 billion tokens in the market somewhere that's going to come out in the next year or two. Now, I'm going to give you the resources again in the links down below to do that research yourself. We don't have enough time. Otherwise, this video would be hours long, and we don't want to do that. We just want to give you the tools, let you guys make your own educated decisions. But again, with this in mind, knowing that the circulating supply is only 152 million, and when you find the vesting schedule, you'll realize that there's probably a few months of potential play here. What we want to go into then next is take a look at the technicals. And this is one of the valuable places where we zoom in here. Again, over the last, 26 days, you've seen an accumulation cycle take place. It currently appears to be going through an SOS in its backup phase. Again, knowing that there's so many tokens open in the market, there's no sense in making big investments here. We're coming all the way back down in to retest the inside of the box. But again, here we know that if we make a $1,000 investment and we get 1,000x 5 years in the future, we were only ever risking $1,000. Now, some people might be like, well, I want to put all my money in these things, but it's not smart to make exponential bets. It's smart to put a small amount of money in and wait and be patient, because that if you're right, you will be rewarded exponentially, whereas if you're wrong, you will lose everything. Because most of these games are probably going to fail. Most of these ideas are probably going to fail. So why make it more difficult on yourself by investing too much money in something that we know is going to be volatile? In the world of venture capital, we want to get exponential gains, but at the risk of knowing how much we can lose first. So it makes a great, easy to play idea there. The next thing we're going to look at is Yuga Labs and Ape Token. Now, I'm sure most of you already know about the Bored Apes, the Mutant Apes, the Ape Dogs. This is all part of a product asset line that Yuga has been coming out with to generate revenue. Now, again, when we were looking at Treasure DAO, Yuga has already gone through and produced a few different games, variations of these games, and all they need is one good game to work in their future. They've been building on with a fairly big brand. Yes, they're Bored Ape, the Mutant Ape, and the little Bored Ape Kennel Club here. These are the general products within their line. They also apparently own the CryptoPunks line, Meebits, and Other Side, which represent a lot of the land features in there. Owned and operated by ApeCoin DAO. Ape is the token supporting the next Web3. Again, here we're only looking at the tokens, not the NFTs specifically. The reason being is they're usually easier for people to find smaller investments in. Again, knowing that these are exponential potentials, it's easier to have a smaller investment based off that exponentiality instead of putting $50,000 into a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT or something like that, which is a much heavier risk effectively. But when they first came out, $1,000 for a Bored Ape Yacht Club was a pretty good risk to reward relationship. So one of the things we want to do next is, again, look at ApeCoin. We see that approximately only 40% of the circulating supply is out on the market right now, with a $548 million market cap. That's with a $1.48 billion fully diluted valuation. So again, noticing the circulating supply, only 40% of it is on the market, and we know that over the next 5 years, approximately 60% of that token is going to come back out into the market. It's really important to do this type of deep dive research when you're making these speculative investments, because it will give you more confidence in what it is that you're actually trying to do. Knowing that there's a high potential for more of these tokens to come out onto the market, be unlocked, and then be dumped on top of everybody, it's usually best to be patient for the majority of the tokens to unlock. But if you can't do that, you can go and then do this research, which makes it a lot easier. So again, one more time here, just for fun, we'll take a look at token.unlocks.app just to give us a bit more detail of what's going on here. So as we can see, the current price at 1.53 and the emission cycle in approximately 3 days, there's another 15.6 million ape, or 4.23% of the supply, that hits the markets. So you can see the Yuga Labs founders here. They started taking distribution. Yuga Labs started taking distribution. The Yuga Labs founders started taking a larger distribution, and the charity of around 3 billion ape started taking distribution here more recently as well. So again, knowing these unlocks and vesting schedules is super important, because it lets us know that even though there's a high potential with Ape here and what they're doing, there's still so many tokens on the market, and we're currently about to get a vesting schedule unlock. Often, though, too, the bigger holders will drive up the price of their asset before trying to dump it on the market. So even though the unlock is in 3 days, you may see the price spike for them to start selling into. With currently 56% of it already unlocked, some of that reason it's not circulating in the supply right now is probably because it's in their ape.stake platform, which is another way where you can earn ape for staking yours within a liquidity pool effectively. So just as a kind of a last point detail here for that one, as you can see, what looked like we were in a falling wedge here, which can be a very strong signal. At the bottom of the wedge, which is likely the spring, is a very high likelihood we drive up to the top of this. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that unlock actually aligns with a movement upwards in the price, so that the people who are getting unlocked get the chance to sell and form the rest of this trading range. Now, there are other assets that are probably going to do better, but we like Yuga Labs. They've got a ton of money, have been able to hire some of the best people in gaming. And remember, they only need to get one game right over the next 5 years for Ape Token to have an extraordinary amount of velocity moving into it, even against all of that unlock schedule investing period. So we're going to go a little bit quicker through the last few, just so everybody gets an idea of some of the ideas that we like. We're a big fan of the Sandbox, a big player in the Metaverse and gaming sector. These guys have already done really well. Just as we roll in very quickly, we can see that the majority, almost 80% of the circulating supply at $2 billion has been unlocked. With a $948 million market cap, there's not a ton of room for growth there. Again, why it's later down on our section here, a max supply of 3 billion tokens with a fully diluted valuation of 1.5 billion. Again, these are pretty high. There's not a ton of room for growth here, but it's just another gaming token to keep your eyes on. If you've noticed, the price of the earlier ones were all pretty low still. As we move on here, the next thing we want to take a look at really quickly is the Sandbox token. The Sandbox token, again, here sitting at the bottom of a falling wedge, broken out of the wedge and now moving into the trading range. There's a very high potential that we go to the top of this trading range in the next few months. The bull market appears to be here, so making these speculative investments, knowing that I can only lose this much, but they could turn into 1,000x over the next year, is a very smart way to go. Now, the next one we want to take a look at is final. We've got two more for you. We'll rip through really quickly, so don't worry. There's a lot of potential here, so we try to stake it in all at the same time. We're also big fans of Illuvium. This is only a single game, though. They're not building an ecosystem. But they have a lot of really cool stuff that they're building, so it fits in our thesis there as well. These guys have already done a lot of work. Their game is almost already finished, from what I understand. So jump in, take a look. The next thing we want to do is obviously look at the circulating supply and the total supply. 6 million tokens in circulation and 9 million total, with a $550 million market cap and a fully diluted valuation at 800 million. So again, these are, as we've gone down the range, these are obviously getting higher. The circulating supply here is decent, but in terms of a potential asymmetric investment, there's a high potential there. Also, we want to look at the token. Now, at the bottom of the range, we've moved up 150% already to the very top of the trading range. Illuvium is, even though it has a high valuation already, the market and technical indicators here are very strong. I suspect that we see some type of reaccumulation at the back end here before a potential much higher move. And last but not least, one of our favorite tokens and ideas to come out is Myria. It is another gaming ecosystem that's building many games. They've already got, let's see here, click see more games. Oh, it's too bad they want us to click into the genre. Oh, there we go. I think they've already got around 50 games on the ecosystem. Yeah, here you go. Metacart, Block Royale, Moonville Farm, Sassy Strawberries, Adamant Mine, Goldify, Metaverse, Carnage, War Bunnies, Gunstar. Again, you only need one game to work for these things to really fly. So these are numbers plays. This is much more similar to something like Magic, where you're not just betting on one game, you're betting on the potential of the whole ecosystems of games. These guys aim to be the Steam of video games, so very high potential there. Lastly, we go in, we take a look at our favorite portions of this data. We've got around 50 billion for the total supply, with only 8 billion on the market, and we know that they're going to be vesting through nodes. So every day, nodes are distributed an equal amount of tokens. You can find that by going to Myria.com as well. If we go lastly over to the charts here, we can see have been in an accumulation range for almost the last 150 days, and since then we've had a massive explosion of price of around 150% out. The market maker obviously signaling their direction. It's likely we'll see a reaccumulation range up here at the top to go from there. Anyways, I just want to do a quick update. We'll maybe do like 3 more of these. You know, our favorite metaverse, our favorite gaming, our favorite AI tokens. YouTube seems to like these titles, and I figured I'd give you kind of a shot. Remember, the heads I win, tails I can only lose a little. Don't make investments you can't afford to lose if these are highly speculative. Bitcoin, I think you could invest in all day and all night and still come out on top. Whereas I know some of these are going to fail. I just don't know which ones. So we spread our bets and we make our bets smaller, knowing that if these go to zero, it's not that big of a loss. But if they go up 1,000x or 100x, the reward is definitely worth taking that small risk with. Anyways, with the Arcane Bear, if you like this content, go down. You can join our free newsletter, or you can try out the private group. There's no risk there. Remember, the sickness of the average investor comes from over-trading, over-emotional understandings within the market, and then a lack of community where they can learn and grow. So if you want to try risk-free, you can go to arcanebear.com/private, where all of our content, if you don't like it, we just give you a refund with no questions asked. So why not give it a shot, join up, and try. We'll see you again on the next video. It's Theo with the Arcane Bear signing off.